I did try to negotiate my first developer job, which I'm still in, so I'm talking like I've had 5 developer jobs. But it didn't really go the way I thought it would, but I thought the offer was good, so I accepted everything. They did come back with a bonus, so maybe that was it because I negotiated. But it's still something I'm just like, ugh.
Congratulations, you got the job. The interview was tough, the process was lengthy, you pushed through all the competition, and the decision was made, and the job is all yours. But is it now the time to relax? Hey y'all, it's Samantha, Kedasha, and Sandi, and we're back with another insightful episode on the Deeper Than Tech podcast, where we're here to talk about where where we talk about how to progress in your career in the industry that was not designed with us in mind. In this episode, we will be giving you all the ins and outs of what you should do as soon as you get the offer. Also, make sure you're set up for your first day on the job and what you can expect when onboarding to a new company. Make sure you stick around all the way to the end to find out the best way to set yourself up for success. But before we begin, if you love what we're doing, make sure you share this podcast with a friend or a coworker. Don't forget to grab your notepad because we're about to give you some notes. Getting the job doesn't start on your first day. Instead, it starts as soon as you get the offer letter. It is so important to make sure you give yourself a winning chance since your starting salary can follow you throughout your years of and your career. Wow. Kedasha, how comfortable do you feel negotiating your salary?
Not comfortable. On a scale of 1 to 5, 0, I would say negotiation is something that I didn't even know that we were allowed to do or could do. But it's so important, especially as women and especially as Black women. We are vastly underpaid because of how we look, be it intentional or unintentional. It's a fact. It's the truth. But me personally, I don't feel comfortable. Do you feel comfortable, Sandy?
I actually do feel comfortable negotiating my salary. I the first time I did it, I actually got what 10K more. So yeah, I mean, it can be nerve wracking to think like the idea of negotiating could be nerve wracking, but I think you have to just walk in your power and know what you're worth and add tax to it. And the worst they can say is no. But they won't take back the offer letter, so just give it your best shot.
That's true. I did try to negotiate my first developer job, which I'm still in, so I'm talking like I've had 5 developer jobs. But it didn't really go the way I thought it would, but I thought the offer was good, so I accepted everything. They did come back with a bonus, so maybe that was it because I negotiated. But it's still something I'm just like, ugh. Ugh, like I'll tell everybody to negotiate. Make sure you negotiate, but then when it comes to me, I'm just like, I don't know about negotiating. It's so hard.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, my first job I ever got, I was super nervous about negotiating. I did do it because I was like, I have to do it for all the women out here. I have to at least say something. And the guy was super nervous for me when I was talking to him. So he's like, I'll help you out. Don't worry about it. But I also didn't know I had a number in mind, and I really wanted to hit that number when I graduated. So I know I had to do it. My second job, I was a lot more comfortable negotiating. I actually was a little too cocky when I negotiated. I was like, I don't see my signing bonus on here. Where is it at? But I think recruiters are used to it. So I think it's just ask for what you want. The worst they can say no is no. And if they say yes, even better. So
Exactly. The worst you can hear is no.
So we talk about like numbers. Like where do y'all find if your salary offer is a good offer or not? Like how do you understand that?
There's this one website that I really like. I'm growing to like. It's called levels.fyi. It's so good. Like you can see the level that they were hired at. So let's say they're a software engineer one, like a level 1 engineer. You can see what their base salary is, what the stock options are, what the bonus package is. You can see everything up to like senior level in a lot of FANG companies, and smaller companies are also getting on the website because a lot of people are finding value in it. So they're adding their own data set to the website, and it's amazing. You should definitely check it out. Levels.fyi.
Yeah, I've heard of that website as well. I really enjoy it because I heard that Glassdoor is also a good site, but I feel like a lot of companies come in and manage what people say on that, and it might be a pay service. So I feel like I trust Levels at FYI better because I've also entered my information on there. So I think it's important to kind of share. Only share to people that you, I don't know. Let me just be quiet. Yes.
So for me, I utilized Glassdoor. I also would use like LinkedIn. So if whatever job I'm interested in, I'd see like the estimated compensation rate, and I basically just go by that.
Yeah, I saw like circulating on Twitter one time. I saw like this huge spreadsheet of tech salaries for women specifically. I think I saved it because it just looked so valuable to me. I'm just like, wow, people are really under earning in their field and they have no idea. So again, Twitter is also another great resource because people oftentimes tweet like, "Hey, tell me your salary and what position you are and whether or not you have a degree." And the responses are phenomenal. People are really brave in sharing their salaries. I don't even know if that's allowed at my company, so I wouldn't even attempt to do it.
You should. You most likely are allowed. You should just check your state law. Like in New York City, you're allowed to share your salaries, and companies are not allowed to retaliate against you. So just make sure you just check your state law. Um, yep. So, what are some other things that you can negotiate besides salary?
I think you can negotiate like vacations, like your PTO days. Um, I think you can. Well, do we put bonus in the same field as salary? Because I think you can. If some people don't always have like, some people don't always are not able to negotiate their annual salary, but they can also negotiate their bonus instead. So those are the two things I know you can negotiate as perks.
Nice. Do people also negotiate like what is it, continuing education stuff? Yeah, to make sure that you can take courses, even like getting access to sites like Front End Masters or Pluralsight, LinkedIn Learning. I like LinkedIn Learning a lot. I don't know if people negotiate for those too.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many things that you can negotiate for. At least in New York City, you can negotiate for like transit benefits, so they will pay for your how to get to work. You can negotiate for like if you are working a corporate job now and you didn't have a corporate job before, but you need like a suit and tie, you can ask them for like a uniform bonus, I guess you can say, like so you could get a suit and tie. Like there's a lot of things you can negotiate for that's out that isn't based on your salary. So you'd be
That's
surprised.
interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never heard
Wow.
of someone negotiating for like
Transit. I didn't know about
wardrobe
that.
and transit. That's interesting.
Another thing I would like to mention is like there are pay bands that companies are. So if you don't feel comfortable talking about salary, you might ask them about their pay band if they're allowed to share that with you. A lot of times they will put you in the middle of the pay band, so you would know if that's a good bracket or not. So, these are all very helpful tips. uh, do
I like
y'all? Go ahead.
Honestly, sometimes just a quick Google search is helpful. Like, how do I negotiate? Just type that in Google, or what do people negotiate for at X company? Maybe you'll find something. I find Google to be a great resource because it links to so many different blogs and articles that are super helpful.
Yeah, I love the Google.
I love it.
Do y'all ever reach out to folks who are currently working at the job to see their experience?
I
No, I'm too
do.
much of a scaredy cat.
Sandy, you want to go first?
Yeah, I've so like when I received my offer at my current job and for the current role that so they were I'm a level 3, which is basically entry level, but they were going to hire me as a level 2. Don't ever downplay yourself. I downplayed myself, so I ended up getting a level 3. But I did reach out to someone at my company via LinkedIn who was hired as a level 2, and I asked that person of their experience, and they basically told me that they're very stressed within the first 6 months. So that kind of led me to not want to also be hired as a level 2. I was like, let me be hired as a level 3 because I only had like, 3 months prior experience. So I definitely think it's very important to reach out to people, but don't take everything someone says with a grain of salt. What they can find stressful could be like a walk in the park for you. So don't go by someone else's experience, but you do want to hear like other narratives so you can at least have an idea of what that company would be like for you.
That's true. That's true. I'm not brave enough to reach out to anyone on LinkedIn or even Twitter, but what I do is Google again. I just search up company reviews, and typically Glassdoor will have a lot of reviews, and sometimes LinkedIn. I can find people on LinkedIn and see what they're doing or what their career progression has been. I like to look at career progression to see if there's upward mobility within the company for people that currently work there. That's kind of what I look for, but I'm too much of a security cat to say, hey, tell me about your job.
Yeah, yeah, but it's so important to understand the culture that you're getting into because your job is 40 hours a week. That's a lot of time in your life to be around a lot of people. So it's super important just not to just dive in. It might be your first job, and you might be really excited about the offer, but if they don't have the support for you, maybe you have to sit back for a little bit because you don't want to be stuck at a job for that you don't like for a long period of time.
Yeah, that's super important. Even when you do get to the company, like there's typically a 3 month, what did HR people
Probation
call
period
it,
or
probationary period. That's still you scoping out the company to see if they're a good fit for you and to see if you're a good. They're scoping you out to see if you're a good fit for them. So don't hesitate at that point to like contact people and say, hey, let's meet and talk. I'd love to learn more about your experience and stuff like that.
That's all true. So now that you got this job, you got the offer, it's all settled and good. You're now about to leave your current company. What business do you have to handle at your current company before you leave?
Well, business. I think for me, like I would try to wrap up whatever projects I'm working on. I try to leave notes for the next person that's coming in, and I try not to take on any new work. I'm like, I'm leaving. There's no point in giving this to me. I only have 2 weeks left. So that's kind of what I do. And mentally, I just try to prepare for the next step because if I'm leaving a job, it's because I didn't like it or because something didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So I like to mentally prepare for like what I'm expecting out of the new job.
Yeah, your reputation is really important in this instance where you make sure you leave a good, clean slate for not only the next person, but when you move on to your next job. If anybody ever talks about you, the tech field is very small. So if anybody ever talks about you, they can always say really good things about your work. Um, is there anything else you guys think people need to do before their first day on the job?
Get excited, go
Mm,
out and celebrate. Like,
yeah, you should really have fun before before you start working. Have
go
a
out and,
self-care day.
yeah,
Just mentally, you should be prepared, but you should also have a little relaxation, a little fun before, making the effort to start your job and, um, hit the ground running on your first few weeks.
absolutely. I remember when I got my first dev job, I cried because I couldn't believe that, oh my gosh, I did it. Whoa. And then I was, yeah, I did. And then I was just like, okay, let me go have some really good food because when I was in boot camp, I didn't eat well. It was just like grabbing just code. So I had some really good food. I saw the sun. It was amazing. So just be sure to take time and just reflect on your journey and what you managed to accomplish.
And that sun is beaming some good light on you too today. So that sun
I'm
just following
saying
you.
She's enjoying.
Yeah, just
the
good
sun is
sun.
setting.
One thing that I do if I am financially set at that moment, I would actually take like a week off in between jobs. That way you have time to like reset yourself before you go into a new environment. Um, I know that not everybody can do that, but if you can, I think that'd be a great idea. Okay, so we are done with our vacation now. It's the first day on the job. What are some things that you're going to do?
So the first thing I would do, I'd reach out to some colleagues of mine. I try to get to know the team. Try to make some friends because these are the people I'm gonna be working with for the next upcoming weeks. I'd want to know who I can ask questions to, like exactly because you have your lead, but your lead is gonna be busy. So I'm gonna find who else can I reach out to for help or just to get to know as a person as well. So I definitely schedule some one-on-one sessions and KT transfers and things like that. KT is like knowledge transfer, so I do that on my first few weeks.
I love that. I would also reach out to people when we were on campus. I would reach out to people to do like lunch meetings because I feel like talking over food is less awkward. So I like to do that. But now I try to do Zoom meetings, but they're awkward for me, so I don't really do it. But definitely reach out to your team, get to know them personally on a one-on-one basis. That way, you know how they communicate, what they are working on, what they're responsible for, and kind of figure out how you can fit into the team. I would also ask for any documentation on any of the products that you're going to be working on. Is there a write-up on the APIs that we use, on the tools that we use? Is there an easy way for me to set up my dev environment? Like, what are the tools that we use to code? Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's super important to get your social capitalism going as early as possible. So if you can make Zoom meetings with a bunch of people, I think people are happy to meet other people. Like we use Google Calendar at my job, and you could just like throw some time on somebody's calendar. They have like office hours, and you could just sign up for that. I think it's super important just to meet as many people as you can early on because you don't know how their play affects later on in your career. Yeah, so it's super important to reach out to people as much as possible and documentation as well. And setting a meeting up with your engineering team, making sure that you're all on the same page, understanding like if how do y'all use GitHub? Do y'all require people to approve certain things? Do y'all have meetings every single week? Like I think you should have all those things in place so you know like on your calendar when things are happening.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. When you guys were onboarding to your new companies, what did you find was valuable that they did for you?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. One thing I liked was that my manager came to meet me at the door. So like when I walked in, I saw him, so I felt at ease a little bit, like I didn't feel lost within the maze of the company. And I also liked that I was not really assigned, but assigned a mentor on my team. Like, so he became my go-to person, but now he got promoted, so he's gonna be a tech lead on another team. So I was like, oh my god, he's gone. But he was my go-to person, and he helped me get caught up with everything that we were doing. So I really enjoyed that aspect that my company provided for me.
That's awesome. Like, I love my manager, my team lead met me, and I also felt seen, and I also felt like I knew where we sat when we were actually not virtual, fully in person. But one thing I wish they did better was like have a assign a mentor to me. I very much felt lost during my first 3 months, trying to catch up on things. So one thing that would have definitely made my onboarding experience much smoother was having a mentor. They did have like they did assign my lead to like help get me set up with our systems, but when I had to start working on actual like things on my team, I was like, I was lost. I'd ask for help, but I'd always feel like I'm asking too many questions. And I mean, it was to be expected because again, I didn't have that mentorship. I didn't have that like walk through that guide. So I definitely love that fact that you had a mentor.
I kind of wanted to pick up on the fact that you said that you felt like you were asking too many questions. I think that when you come onto a job, it should be expected that you ask questions. If I was supposed to onboard somebody else and they don't have any questions to me, I would think there was something wrong. Like I would not. I'd be like, "Is everything okay?" So I personally would actually figure out, find somebody on your team because they're there to help you. And if you don't feel comfortable like slacking them all day, maybe set up a meeting with them like once a day for 30 minutes so you can like write down all your questions. And at the end of the day, you could be like, these are the things that I had trouble with. So I really hope that people feel comfortable asking questions, but there's other ways to go around that.
I guess that's why before I said my company kind of sort of assigned me a mentor. So they didn't like literally say, hey, Kedasha, this is your go to person. So I met everyone, and then there was this one person who just stood out to me as being approachable and friendly and inviting. And so I kind of said, okay, you're going to be my person. And so over time, I kept asking them questions, and I realized that they were receptive to the questions. And so I just kept asking more questions, and then they became my go-to person. I think as a junior developer, it's so important to try to ask all the things and embrace the junior title, because you're just like, you can say, oh, I don't know, I don't know, I'm trying to figure it out. That's what I do, and I just embrace it. I don't
You know,
know.
when I got to my job, there was this guy who kept asking me, "Hey, maybe I can help you out." I was like, "I don't need any help. I'm good." But he like kept asking me, and I thought there was this like, at first I thought I was like, I don't know what I thought. I thought it was weird, but eventually he became like my go-to person because he was like he wanted to help, and I felt comfortable asking him questions because he was like always asking me like, "Hey, do you need help?" So that was good. What are some things that you wish your company did? Well, we already talked about this a little bit, but like, what else do you think your company could have done better during your onboarding experience?
No, I got my laptop. I got time to set up everything. Setting up your development environment for work, it's another level. I think it took me like a whole day to get everything set up, and then a month later, my computer broke and I had to get a new one, so I had to set up everything again. Um, so I don't know. I guess the toolings. I wish I had like a concrete list of tools that everyone used, but apart from that, no. And
Yeah,
yeah, tooling. I did have that.
there's
Oh,
always a
wow.
discussion in our Slack channel about should you use VS Code, Vim, what do people use? Like, it'd be nice to have like a documentation of like what's the best for this language. But
Yeah.
developers always have opinions, so that one's hard.
I wish they had like I wish for my onboarding experience they had a section or some documentation about what they expect from their new hires, like how do you set yourself apart. I mean, it just gives you an easy cheat sheet on how to make the best impression for your first few weeks. So I would have loved if they had something like that, so you know what to aspire to or how you should orchestrate yourself for the upcoming weeks.
Is there anything that y'all use to keep track of all the stuff that you learn while you're at the job? Because there's gonna be a lot of information thrown at you at one time. How do you keep track of everything?
I have
Yeah,
my
I like.
notes and
Yep.
I just jot it down. And I just use the notes from the Mac app, and I usually just jot anything I learn. I put it in there. That's how I keep track.
Same. I use Microsoft OneNote to keep track of my notes, and I love it because I can go back and see what I did last January, and it's great. It's good to see how I've progressed as I've been at the company.
Yeah, I personally use Slack. I'm very bad at writing notes, but I'm really good at bookmarking things. So I could just like
Ah,
bookmark everything that I see, and hopefully, it all works out.
I do like the bookmark feature in Slack. I do
Yeah,
bookmark a lot of things as well.
bookmarking, pinning, Slack is great. But I think that's going to be it for this episode. It was really awesome to hear everybody's opinions about like how to negotiate your salary, what to do between jobs, and making sure that you're set up for success on your first day and through onboarding. It was great talking with you guys today. Make sure to check us out on Spotify or Apple or wherever you check out your podcasts. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.